So today with us on Stool Talk, we're honored to have a very, very special guest with us today. Here on Stool Talk, we walk in our purpose on purpose, and today's guest is definitely doing that. He is the reason that in the Northwest Ohio, you get to see a lot of the great sports and young athletes, and he covers a lot of the young athletes and even the athletes in the area. So we want to just spotlight him for his great work and what he's doing. He's a hard worker. He goes above and beyond, and he really cares. And you can see the excitement. You can hear it in his voice as he covers and as he reaches and touches the area. Today we have with us the one, the only, Mr. Tyler Seggerman. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm
Excited.
good. I'm good. So how was this journey for you as far as growing up? Did you always want to be in sports? Did you know sports was going to be a field of broadcasting and being a journalist? And did you know that was going to be what you were going to do?
Yeah, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do in the sports realm, but I knew sports was going to be something that I would pursue. Obviously, growing up playing little league and doing baseball and stuff, I was surrounded by it. My father was a big sports fan, so that's kind of how I fell in love with watching games on TV, watching Sports Center at a young age, just kind of following along as much as I could. And it's kind of when I think senior year of high school or junior year of high school is kind of when I started to realize, okay, like I want to do sports, but I'm not, athletic or tall or anything like that. So obviously, playing in the NBA or the NFL was not going to be a dream of mine. So, but I wanted to I started pursuing kind of what avenues I could can still have that love for sports and still be a part of sports. And I don't know. I just like I said, I grew up watching ESPN and things like that. I'm like, well, why don't I just do that? Why don't you go be on TV and talk about sports every day? And so I started looking around. And for whatever reason, I really don't remember exactly how it went, but Oklahoma State University, which is in Stillwater, Oklahoma, not the Sooners, the other school, kind of popped up on my Google search one day, and they had a sports media major class thing, and they allowed us students who are in high school to come visit and kind of see what it's like to be a part of that curriculum. And I believe it was the junior, either sophomore, it would have been summer of my junior year in high school. I took a visit, and basically they had their own studio. They let us go on the set and like read sports highlights and kind of get a feel of like what it would look like, and I just immediately fell in love with it. And it was also nice too because like growing up in California, Salinas, that's all I really knew. And so to be able to have an opportunity to kind of get out to the Midwest and kind of see what life is like in Oklahoma. I mean, obviously that's a little different or way different than California, but yeah, I just obviously fell in love with kind of what they were offering. And I applied to one college, I got accepted, and then the rest is history, so to speak. And obviously we could talk about my career path, professionally here in a little bit. But in terms of sports, yeah, I mean, it was at an early age, I fell in love with it. I was always talking about it. It's a funny story, actually. I'd be watching like March Madness, for example, and my mom would always mute the TV, and I would always try to do the play-by-play on the TV. And I didn't really think I was doing it. I just, felt like I needed to do it for some reason. And so she kind of knew at an early age too that okay, this guy's gonna be doing sports or something. I don't know what it's gonna be, if it's PR, if it's TV, if it's writing, I don't know. But yeah, I was always glued to sports, no matter if it was on TV, playing sports in the yard with other friends. Yeah, it's always been a passion of mine, and I'm glad I still get to do it.
Yeah, what was some of the announcers back when you were growing up or coming up, some of the sports anchors that really caught your attention and you loved the way they operated, the way they did play by play, the way they did interviews? What was some of them that stuck out as you were growing up?
Yeah, so growing up near the Bay Area, Dwayne Kuiper was the Giants play-by-play guy on the radio for KMBR. He's great. Obviously, Vince Scully, when the Dodgers were in town, I'd always listen to him. But then, like I said, I mentioned Sports Center a lot. Neil Everett was a favorite of mine. Stuart Scott was a favorite of mine. So those kind of guys. I mean, Scott Van Pelt obviously started back then when I was growing up, and he's still doing it at a high level. So he's a fun one to watch, especially the bad beats. I love that segment a lot. But yeah, so there's a lot of great personalities, a lot of great talents that I would get my sports information from. But now, kind of in the platform that I'm in now, I get to also learn and kind of steal from them a little bit to try and portray, what I can do here locally.
Yeah, and you just not just broadcasting, not just talking, but you've been behind the camera. You produce, you did different things, even coming up around the sports from your early days to your college days, and even in between before you came to Toledo. What made you just want to be like a sports anchor and not just be behind the thing or be the production?
Yeah, so I think I've always wanted to be selfishly on camera. Um, my career path kind of started off in production. Um, but it's funny. So my first job, which I don't even consider it really a job, but the first time I kind of got into sports in high school was my senior year. So in California, our football games, they do freshman, JV, and varsity all on the same day, which is wild here in Ohio because, like, why would you do that? But that California, that's how they do it. So not to say it's right or wrong, but that's just how they did it. So, but it provided me an opportunity when I was on varsity to be like, well, I have nothing going on at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Why don't I do like a public address announcer for the freshman game? So like that was my first gig, was doing public address announcing for my high school while I was a senior to the freshman game. So and I enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't really like something like I thought I could do, as a career, but that kind of got me in the door feeling like, because you got to prepare, you got to know the people. The preparation aspect obviously kind of got my foot in the door and got me warmed up of what life would be like if I pursued sports, in that realm. And then obviously, yeah, when I got to college, we did classes and stuff that had like student broadcasts and things like that. There wasn't really a whole lot of opportunities in terms of on-air stuff, so I got started with the Dodgers AAA or AA affiliate, the Tulsa Drillers. And there I just did camera work. I actually worked with the Oklahoma State Athletic Department as well, doing camera work. So that part of it was exciting because I got to see like how you can tell a story through the lens of a camera as opposed to with your voice and with your presence. So being able to do all that through college, I feel like kind of like fast tracked my growth in that aspect because like when you talk about what we do in local TV, we're by ourselves. We're a one man band. You got to be able to shoot, write, talk, do all of it, and a lot of that has to do with what you're able to capture on the camera. So being able to do that in college and seeing kind of what different angles, what looks cool, obviously, because the kids obviously like to see kind of the different things. I learned a lot during that process. Now, the reason obviously I did start in sports is because of the lack of on air experience and the lack of, I guess, push that I had in college to kind of want to just jump up into sports. Because, like, I kid you not, like when I was growing up, or when I went to college, you see all these people, getting into sports media and they're like, oh, I want to be on ESPN. I mean, that's everyone's goal, right? And so I just, the other thing too was like moving away from home. I was on my own for the first time, so I wanted to enjoy it. So I feel like I kind of had more fun than work and preparation. So that's probably a little bit reason why I didn't start in Toledo doing sports. But yeah, I mean that that path and that experience definitely helped for sure. Kind of starting behind the scenes, kind of you see it through a different lens and a different scope. If I would have just started straight on TV, I don't think I'd have the perspective that I need now to tell stories and engage with viewers. If I didn't have the production stuff as well.
Yeah. Did you know like even when you came to Toledo and you started and you joined WTOL, did you know that us is I'm gonna even say when I was back in school playing sports too, we look forward to Big Board Friday. We looked it forward to you guys bringing us the games that we couldn't see because we was playing at the other games or the games that we didn't go to, or just to look to see if you see somebody or if you gonna get an interview. Did you know the significant role of that, or that you would be the people that was doing the interview that the young kids and the people that in the city would be waiting to see come on Friday?
Yeah, I didn't know the magnitude of it. I'll be honest with you, because obviously I didn't grow up here. I was in Lima obviously a couple years ago, so I kind of got a little bit of a feel. But like I knew, like every market, mostly in our industry, has like a big Friday show for football and basketball. So I mean, I didn't personally at the beginning. I didn't really think anything of it. It's like, oh, okay, like I've been a part of these at other stations before. It's nothing new, but like, nah, it's different here. It's different. People know exactly when you mention big board, they know exactly what you're talking about. And it's exciting for me to now kind of be the lead in that show, because obviously, like, highlights are one thing. Obviously, you get to read a lot of cool plays, you get to see a lot of kids doing amazing things. But I want to add to it. Like, if I mean, I've been pushing, getting social media involved, and we have a play of the night this year, or this, yeah, this season that we implemented. We get a lot of post game reactions from coaches and players, but I think is pretty unique and awesome. So you're not just seeing the kids, excel on the field. You get to hear from them as well, and I'm sure that's what a lot of parents and grandparents love about our show. And it's exciting. We have music. It's fast paced. We get to a lot of games. I mean, I my goal is like 16 games every night or every Friday would be amazing. And I think we hit that goal pretty much. And it's not just Toledo too. I think the best part about it is like our DMA stretches, I think 12 counties. And I mean, we don't get to every county, obviously, every Friday, but I mean, we're able to get out to Fulton County a lot, Hancock County,
Okay.
Lucas, our bread and butter, but we're able to expand our scope, and that's the fun part too, because we get to cover high schools that normally don't get covered because they're not in Toledo or near Toledo, but because we have the support and the resources from our station, we're able to broaden our spectrum and cover as much as we could. It's a blast. Like I said, obviously when I took the job, I was just a part of it, and my game, and I enjoy doing like, and that's the tough part too about it, is because like I like anchoring, I like having that presence and like kind of dictating the show and everything. Because if you watch, obviously I have my own little spin and taste on how I word things, but I
Yeah.
also enjoy like being out there and talking to people. Like obviously like if you're out playing and or you're watching and I get to interview kids and the coach afterward. That's exciting too. So it's kind of tough for me now having to transition from just focusing on our game of the night to now focused about the entire show, because obviously it adds more stress to my plate having to make sure everything's in and ready to
Yeah.
go. And a lot of times, and people don't notice, I probably should admit this, but our Fox show, so we have a big board Fox at 10:30, and then our big board Friday on CBS that typically most people watch. That Fox show, I'm going in almost blind. Like I know the games that I'm shooting, but everyone else is just getting their stuff in because like games are ending around 10 o'clock and stuff. So I haven't seen any scripts. And so I'm just kind of like ad libbing, and luckily there's video underneath the scripting of our prompters in the studio, so I'm able to, like, if I don't know like what the word or what the names are, I'm able to just kind of play it off, and so it maybe looks better than what it should be. But I think it's kind of an interesting dynamic that first Fox show. We call it the run through, because a lot of times I haven't read the scripts, I haven't seen the video yet, so I'm just kind of with everyone else watching at home. I'm just kind of like attacking it as like I'm seeing it for the first time as well. So that's fun. But yeah, no, that's probably one of the funnest and most exciting elements to my job here, is being a part of that show, because like you said, everyone knows big board, or most people do.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to put together. It's exciting to see how people react to it as well. And I hope we obviously can continue to elevate it too, because unfortunately we only get a certain amount of time with
Yeah.
TV. But hopefully we're able to use that time wisely and add more elements to it if people are able to jumpstart ideas and things like that. So it's fun.
Yeah. Since you've been at there, what has been a memorable game moment or something that sticks out to you covering wise?
There's been a lot. Obviously, um, Battle of I-75s have been fun to cover. I mean, the one in BG last year was memorable just because of how it ended. I know that was kind of like the last. That's probably going to be the last midweek game, because they realized, hey, we can play this game on a Saturday and everyone's going to come and sell it out. So, but that was exciting because it was cold, but it was also a thriller. Another BG moment was Terrion Stewart last year, that same year, scored a huge touchdown. It was an exciting touchdown, and then ran me over in the end zone for no reason well, so that was fun. Obviously, plenty of high school moments. I mean, there's so many. Covering state is exciting.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny. There's actually probably my favorite moment in Ohio actually wasn't Toledo. It was actually Lima, and it was
Okay.
during the COVID year. So everything obviously was going crazy, and that's another crazy thing that I can get into later. But like, so during COVID, obviously there's masks, there's social distancing, everything, and like I believe so that year we had a couple teams go to state, but they were playing in Massillon instead of Canton, and both games came down to a last second field goal, which our local teams won. So that was kind of crazy and cool. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, there's that's the beauty of our area as well, is we get to cover so much. We got boxing, we got hockey, we got football, basketball, baseball. I mean, it keeps you on your toes. It keeps me busy and excited to go to work every day, because I'm not going home, or I'm not going into work and doing the same thing. We cover different things every day, and sometimes it's highlights, sometimes it's great stories, sometimes it's segments. We never know. So yeah, it's just a blast to be able to have that variety here in Toledo.
Yeah, and how do you keep yourself motivated, and what do you do to keep yourself to where you are going to be the great, anchor that you are because you battle with so many different things, you juggle through so many things, you have so many things going on. So what do you do to keep yourself to where you energize and you focus and you even motivated?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm a perfectionist first and foremost. I'm my biggest critic. If I make the slightest mistake on air, I'm gonna beat myself up over it for a while. So I mean, the motivation is always because I learned at a young age, especially like I mentioned in college. I maybe didn't put as much time as I needed to into my career versus trying to have fun and enjoy life. And that kind of humbled me a little bit. Now, kind of where I'm at now, my pure focus is trying to give you guys, the viewers, the
Yeah,
best product I can, whether that be through storytelling, whether that be through writing, the highlights, anything like that. So my motivation, quite honestly, is you guys because whether I look like an idiot on TV or I don't, it really doesn't matter to me as long as the people are appreciative. Like the best thing I can ever get. I don't care. I mean, obviously there's awards and stuff that go for news and TV stories all the time, but like I tell people all the time, if people text me back and say, "Hey, great story," that's all I need because the platform we have, I'm sharing their story. So I can write it, I can portray it however I want. But if they don't feel like I did a good job, then I didn't do a good job, because it's, a lot of sometimes people in our industry would be like, oh, I have to tell the story. I look at it as I'm sharing someone else's story. So they need to be able to, like, okay, yeah, he did a great job of sharing my story. And so, yeah, the satisfaction and the motivation and the same token is, if people are being able to learn and embrace and enjoy what I put together, um, that's kind of what I aspire to do every day. And I know obviously I'm not perfect. I'm not, Neil Everett or Scott Van Pelt or anything. There's always room for improvement. But just seeing, and a lot of times too, like I'll look back, at my sportscast or at my story and be like, oh man, I could have done that better. I could have done that differently. So I'm always critiquing myself. I don't think that's ever going to change. But just, I think, yeah, the motivation, just to kind of wrap up and kind of come back to your question, is the viewers because I got into this business, you know, knowing that I'm going to be working with a lot of people, and although a lot of people watch me through a screen, I feel like I'm trying to connect. That's kind of my purpose with what I do is I don't want people just to, oh, what's the score? Why? Why does it matter? Why did this person, why did this bucket matter? Or, why did this win matter so much? And that's what I try to do is try to connect with people. And, the motivation and the inspiration is to make sure that they are understanding what I'm trying to say clearly. And so that's
yeah.
always the challenge when it comes to TV.
Yeah, looking ahead, are there any specific goals or project that you hope to pursue or hope to bring to the network?
Yeah, absolutely. So we just launched like an OTT sports show called Chasing the Game. I'm hoping to do my own or even enhance on that. Obviously, that not a lot of people are now watching local news, or I mean they are, but like it's basically streaming platforms and things like
Yeah.
um, but it also, at the same token, our sportscasts are only at 6, 10, and 11 every night. If you want to see highlights from the previous night at 9 in the morning, or if you don't want to wait till 10 or 11 o'clock at night, but want to see what's going on, streaming is going to be the best alternative to do that. So we're kind of diving into those ideas right now, trying to get segments and trying to get info out to the public beyond just the 6, 10, and 11 o'clock newscast. Because if people want to know what happened at Whitmer or what happened in the Battle of I-75. Like they want to know that now. They don't want to wait till 11 o'clock at night. So yeah, we're definitely working on some things that can get that information, get that element out to the public, so you guys can literally just, hey, there's Big Board Friday from last week. Let me click on and go watch. Instead of like, oh, we got to wait till Friday to go watch it. So we're trying to make everything as accessible as fast as we can. And obviously, we're having other discussions now, but hopefully, we can have some things that people can enjoy at any time, not just the late shows.
Yeah, well, if you could give any advice to the youth who want to join that field, become a journalist or a broadcasting, sports anchor, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I mean, I get this question a lot. Obviously, I think it's important. Just obviously, I mean, it's cliche to say, but be yourself. A lot of times, especially when you're young and trying to make a name for yourself, you want to emulate and copy someone else's work, and that's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, you need to have role models, you need to have some inspiration from other people, but at the end of the day, you're not going to stand out or be unique if you're not your own self. You know yourself better than anyone else does. So if you can't, um, if you try to be someone else, you're not really going to stick out or provide any, special elements to what you're doing. I mean, the other thing too is, you just got to be committed. Um, because a lot of times, I mean, our job is stressful. We're always on deadline. It seems like we're always having to rush and get things in. Um, so in order to have that balance, you need to be able to have a good work ethic. A lot of times, people, if they're good on TV, that kind of mirrors it a little bit, or camouflages things a little bit. But like, people got to know what you're saying. And what I alluded to earlier in this conversation was, my goal every night is for people to learn and connect, because our main goal is to serve the viewers, serve the community. And you know, me personally, like, obviously the X's and O's are fun. It's the basic, people are gonna know. Um, but like, for example, if you watch the game Battle of I-75 or anything locally, you already know the outcome. Then why are you gonna tune in? I got to give them a reason to tune in. Why did this matter? Why is that important? Especially in highlights too. Like, a lot of it's just 30 seconds of like, oh, here's a cool dunk or here's a cool 3-pointer. Well, like, I like to make it more personable. Like, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, I just, for whatever reason, this kid's was zero on Rogers. I called him Agent Zero, and the family absolutely loved it. So, it's just finding little things like that to try and connect with people. Is probably the most important thing, I would say, other than obviously being yourself, is because at the end of the day, what I do is for other people. It's not for myself. And so the best thing to do, or best thing for young journalists to do, is try to find that connection to others, whether that be through their writing, whether it be through their storytelling, just being on air. But also be unique while you do that. So have a purpose, but also do it your own way as well.
Yeah. If you could interview any athlete, past or present, who would it be and why?
Yeah, I saw this earlier when you sent this to me. I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, there's so many people. I mean, so I don't know if a lot of people know this. So like I mentioned, so I'm from Salinas, California, which is kind of right in the middle of of California on the West Coast. So Herm Edwards, actually, I grew up going to his football camps, and he's from there.
Oh,
By. I don't know. I feel like he'd be a good guy, just with all of his experiences, all of his knowledge. Seems like a great dude to talk to. Like I said, I don't remember a whole lot from my childhood. I just remember I'd always go to his football camps, and he'd always give like great speeches and things like that. Obviously, he was notorious for you play to win the game. So I think he'd be a good guy to definitely chat it up with.
yeah. What's one sporting event on your bucket list that you haven't covered yet, or have you covered everything that you want to?
See, I don't know. I mean, because like the more you do, like I feel like the less. So, like for example, like when I was growing up, I would always be excited to go to games, because like as fans, as a sports fan, you always like want to root for your team, see crazy things happen. But since I'm surrounded, I mean, I go to games all the time now. I mean, not to like obviously diminish it, because obviously they're still exciting, but like I'm looking at through it through a lens now, as opposed to just being able to sit back as a fan. Um, but like I don't know, like it's weird, because like even like the walleye, for example, like I'd go to walleye games and I'm like, okay. Like they're exciting and they're fun, don't get me wrong, but it's just like I feel like I lost a little bit of my fandom, because now I'm so wrapped up in covering
Yeah.
sports. So I mean, obviously, like I mean, Super Bowl and all that would be cool to cover. Even though you can't be on the field for it. So I'm trying, like, that's what I was like. The tough thing about a local TV station is, like, I went to Houston for the Michigan National Championship a couple years ago. We were up like nosebleeds in the press box watching that game. So it's like we're there covering it, but we're not really a part of it per se. Now it was fun to go on the field and obviously like be a part of that celebration and everything. But like in terms of coverage, like I don't, that'd be a tough one to ask, because like when it comes to the big events, we're none of the local media are allowed to be on the field during that time. So it's like I don't know, are we really covering it if we're press box? that's up for interpretation. I mean, cool to be there. Don't get me wrong, but in terms of being on the field covering it, I mean, I feel like I've already kind of done all that per se because like the Battle of I-75 is every year. I get to be on the field and close up seeing that happen. Obviously, the state high school football games in Canton are awesome. Basketball, UD Arena. Um, so I,
Yeah.
at the Jared Anderson fight a couple summers ago too. So I mean, I don't know what else there is to do, but I mean, like I said, I still enjoy it. So I don't know if I really need to have, you know, a new experience per se. I just enjoy going to anything I can.
Yeah, last couple questions. I'm gonna get you out of here.
All right.
This is one of my questions I wanted to ask you. Before you about to go on to do your segment, what do you do as far as getting ready? Do you listen to music? As you just calm? As you thinking? As you getting your notes together? Like, take us through that. Like, what's the pregame to before you about to come on and shoot?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I feel like it's different every day. Sometimes I'm rushing to get on the set. Sometimes I have all the time in the world to look over my script, look over my video. I honestly, to be honest with you, like because I'll go live sometimes. Obviously, if we're out at a big event, um, I just try to breathe and just like be calm, because like when like I with the platform of having a presence and being on camera, like if people see that you're tense and trying to rush everything, like that information is not going to come out clearly. And I still struggle with this a little bit too, because like you mentioned, like I like to get excited about things. Like I'm very passionate about sports here in Toledo and Northwest Ohio, and sometimes I'll like speed through things because I'm just too excited, and so I have to kind of like level it down a little bit. So that's something that I'm trying to like I'm always mindful of. But the big thing, like I said, I don't really have a routine per se before I go on air. It's more so just trying to be, as calm and as knowledgeable because, like, if I do have time to prepare, say there's a funky play at the end or this kid has a weird name, I got to make sure I'm well versed in how to say it or how to describe what's going on because if I'm not, then the people who are watching me aren't going to be. So, yeah, it's more just trying to stay calm and be as prepared as possible.
Yeah, and whatever comes on your heart, can you give words of encouragement to the young athletes out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like I said, work ethic. That's what I pride myself on. I'm not the most handsome or the most skilled out there. When it comes to TV, but no one can ever take away hard work, and I think that's the biggest thing that I try to share with people. I mean, my journey is obviously crazy. I didn't even start in sports. I didn't even, I started in the smallest market you could possibly can. I had to work my way up to get to Toledo. Obviously, some things had to fall in place and some luck had to transpire, but I never once stopped working for what I wanted to do. Yeah, I mean, I think work ethic and just being true to yourself are the two things that I would encourage everyone to try and pursue and trying to achieve every day, whatever they want to do in life.
Yeah, and how can us as the viewers support the news station and all what you doing? Like, how can we be supportive, and what can we do to better support? If it's anything.
Yeah, first and foremost, watch us. I mean, obviously, we appreciate the viewership. Please reach out because I think a lot of people think of us as like it's not celebrities, but people that like, oh well, if they don't know it, then they don't know it. Like a lot of our content comes from people telling us what's going on. So, me personally, reach out to us, reach out to me if you have any good story ideas, if you have feedback. I mean, I'd love to hear. Obviously, how you guys feel like I'm doing, how we are doing as a sports team, as a station. Because if we don't hear any of that, we just kind of assume okay, everything's okay and good, which I mean, it never is. We're always striving to change and be perfect, even though perfection is pretty much a false hope there. But yeah, so I mean, obviously, watch us, connect with us. We're people too. We're part of the community. We want to interact, and that's the biggest thing. So don't be afraid to reach out to us. There's a news tip thing on our website. Obviously, my social media is always open. I try to respond as much as I can to people. And just yeah, I mean, obviously, just continue to be a part of our lives as much as I try to be a part of everyone else's when it comes to sports here in Northwest Ohio. Trying to think of yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, there's obviously a lot of interaction, a lot of ways to connect with us, whether that be through our website, whether it be through watching us, streaming, live TV, however it goes. But yeah, just don't be afraid to reach out and just offer up any feedback or story ideas you guys can offer.
Yeah. Well, we thank you, Tyler. We're spotlighting you for all your hard work. Me just getting my feet wet and, a year and a half in this social media and even the content, even in media, doing interviews, going to games, interviewing people, even doing all this is not an easy job. So we commend you for your hard work and you making Northwest Ohio, the state of Ohio, everything that you cover much more exciting, putting your touch on it, allowing it to be, great. Greatness is inside you. You have everything you need inside you to continue to be great, to continue to push the narrative and continue to, be great. So we just thank you for this opportunity. We're going to be sharing your videos, your interviews, and all what you do, and following you and supporting you. And we just appreciate you for this time.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Anything I can do as well on my end, I'd be happy to help.
Yeah, if I need some nuggets, I'm gonna hit you up.
Hey, got you. I
Yeah,
appreciate the rest of
yeah,
your
ladies and gentlemen, the great Tyler Seggerman. Yep, yep. Appreciate it.